you will realize that that energy that you're pursuing in this self-actualization and overcoming the illusion, when you do that, you're approaching the energy that he calls the Ba. The Ba energy is your infinite sun soul energy that allows you to realize this is just a game. I'm just an avatar. I'm here having a transient experience and a meat host. That's not important. I'm absolutely not afraid of dying, because I'll trade that meat house out for another one. I wonder if I have another mission. Otherwise, I'm going to hang out in my celestial hammock until I'm needed again, right? Or I'm going to be reading some more esoteric stuff I didn't have time to when I was down there on the prison planet. See what I'm saying? When you reach that level, according to Thoth and the creator of all, you're no longer playing the game, the matrix game. You're a servant of reality, and your life changes and your mission changes, and you're only a servant of light. And listen, that doesn't mean you're out to wake everyone up and change everything. You finding light in and of yourself through the masters of the Far East, through yoga, through Zen meditation, whatever it is, when you find the self and the not self are distinguished, and you focus on the not self, which is your template energy, your Ba energy from the creator of all. When you find that, you're done. Your ascension's over. The rest of the time you're here is just to serve the reality that was given to you in these writings, which is light. And you don't know what light's going to have you do. It's unmanifested, right? When it hits you and decides what it wants you to do, it'll let you know then. Until then, just be happy with the now and be the best you can be, as an example to yourself. I mean, you're seeking your own boundaries of your performance envelope, right? Keep doing that, but also include the energetic level and find out what you can do about that. So you've talked in the sense that every 26,000 years or so, about the time when the sun is rising in where Pisces goes into Aquarius, you can see where that happens. That's where we line up with the Mayan prediction of the dark rift, which is the galactic center. Well, when that happens, our solar system is going to get hit with energy, and there's going to be massive environmental changes, which we're kind of seeing right now. And one of those I predicted in my analysis of the Enuma Elish was that's probably the place, if I had to guess, where Niburu got stripped from its solar system and somehow got trapped into our solar system, because they called it an intruder planet for that reason. Okay, so I think about the time we go through the galactic center, my prediction was that's probably the point where we ended up with this 12th planet in our solar system. Okay, well, if that's the case, we're entering that stage right now. We're entering the age of Aquarius. We're going into the galactic center right now. So the energy is going to be increasing. And according to Timothy Leary, we have latent DNA circuits that he discovered, 8 of them in our system. And I won't go over all of them. I put them in my 7-Planet Mercury Rising book. The 8th one is triggered energetically. Ta-da! Imagine that. So if you're alive, this is my supposition, when you go through the galactic center and the energy just reaches the right threshold for your human energy body, what do you think is going to happen, Matt?
Ideally expand.
Yeah, well, think about your chakra. Body. Think about a rising tide lifts all boats. Okay, does that analogy make sense? When this energy increases, it's going to affect everybody's energy body, for good or ill. You know, it's going to depend on where you are in this process to determine what you do. Now, if you're not processing that and you're stuck in your red chakra, you're going to act out red chakra stuff bad. You're going to act out the consciousness of where you are when that comes. And hopefully you can ride that wave like a snowboarder or a surfer and catch that energy at the crest and go right to the peak of it and get the highest place you want to be, because that's what you want, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you're doing that. You're doing that. So the idea of ascension is not escape. It's transformation. And listen, I don't know if it means that new quantized state of the sun immediately changes all life forms, because it does. The light from the sun regulates all life forms. Well, if it changes, all life forms are going to change. What does that mean? Does that mean this avatar no longer has to have meat, but it can just be light? It seems to be that is where we're going, because Thoth tells us we're in the process of becoming light. And I think that makes sense to me. Just looking physically at what's happening in our galaxy relative to these spiral arms. We live on the Orion arm of our galaxy, galactic, and we're about 2/3 of the way out on it, right? not all the way. No, we're not that close to the center. So we're taking a spinning ride on a heliacal moving sun while we're spinning around with it. So it's all moving. There's nothing stationary at all. So change comes with cyclic wobbles in our galactic center, whether it's a black hole, whatever you want to call it. Our whole galaxy has a wobble that causes everything it's dragging along with it to wobble. So this seems to be where the little sinusoidal wobble comes that creates what we call the Kali Yuga cycle, or our great year. There's a Satya Yuga, Kali Yuga. These are the Hindu names for these long wobble cycles that are assigned to who? The cycle masters. That's what they manage. They manage consciousness as a function of these large epics that are essentially caused by wobbles. Isn't that crazy? So UNTANAS, QUERTAS, CHIETAL, SEMVETA, GOYANA, and ARDAL, these ones out of Emerald Tablet 6, they are the ones that Enki looks up to and the ones that Thoth looks up to and have alliances with, because they're the ones that set the consciousness on this dimension for all of us. Because there are conscious goals for each dimension, right? You're supposed to get from here to here. You're supposed to wake up from a barbarian to become light in this one, right? That was Thoth's mission. That's how he talked about the land of Chem. He was raising them to the light.
Like an ability, have a little bit of self-mastery or awareness or consciousness to steer towards what feels good, what feels right, what like aligned to you in whatever coherent state. And if you're kind of stuck at this lower level, like root chakra, fear, anger, competition, all these things, you will then have the possibility of being stuck in this, because this is your time to get out of it. And then this would be the result of that. So it's almost, because I've heard like the worlds are fractaling even, you know, and you're going to have one reality where it makes more sense, kind of new earthy and just at least cooperation. People are being cool. Maybe the idea of Atlantis having the rules on like these epic things that are basically like, you know, don't go shoot somebody in the face and rob all their stuff. Like, yeah, everybody's cool with that. We can agree. Cool. Let's go play some tennis and snowboard or something. And if you don't make that choice, then the possibility of riding out that flip side, the dark side of just basically running another cycle of enslavement. Is that kind of?
Well, you hit on something really profound, and I discovered this kind of early on, is we don't believe that what we think creates our own reality. We don't believe that, really, do we? Some people say it and they're like, oh yeah, there's those people that the positive thinkers, and they think all that, you know, but the reality is we do create our own reality. And in Drunvalo Melchizedek's book, Flower of Life, he talks about what happens right at the point where this energetic threshold for humanity is met, that what I would like to say triggers your 8th latent DNA circuit that was put in there by Enki, by the way. He designed you to experience this. And that circuit rewrites all your other circuits. It's like doing 20 years of yoga. Your pineal gland comes on, you start buzzing, and you're experiencing the full life that usually only a few people do in this life. Okay, and the people that wake up to experiencing a pain-free body, energetic feelings that are coincident with the creator of all, and they see the manifestation of their thoughts to actions. They know it may not happen immediately unless they learn how to learn. Okay, like the masters of the Far East could do. They could create their own meals for themselves just through their thought. Well, this goes very deep into talking about what capabilities do we have as co-creators with the creator of all. What are our capabilities? What can we create, right? You know, we can do these tasks, but do we have the power of what they described in the Masters of the Far East, like a quantum encryption encoding in our system that can take light, stitch it together with fundamental elements from the periodic table and create whatever we want? Because that's how the material in our simulator is made that we see, and we call it real. It's made out of basic elements and light stitched together in various bonds through frequency vibrations, right? Like cymatics in a way. So, and we are too, by the way. So our frequency is just a little different than theirs. But so from that standpoint, if this external cycle of a great year. They call it a great year for a reason. I think it's because if you were alive at that time and you were exposed to this energetic change, you got to go to the higher dimensional state that you were intended to all along. And I think everybody ends up going there eventually as part of the simulator, especially if they choose that. Okay, so what Drumvallo says when we get close to that event is be careful what you're thinking. Because whatever you think right when that occurs, you're going to manifest it. He's like, okay, if you're thinking somebody's prowling around outside your house with a gun, they want to rob you, guess what? That's what's going to show up in your reality. So it's like a holodeck. You're creating it all, okay? And it happens very quickly once you get into another dimensional state where we don't have the restrictions on material form like we do here. Even though it happens, it just happens slower, right? Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah, and I wanted to keep going, but I thought it's so interesting. I've had that direct experience, you know, at Burning Man. You know, it's a higher, I think, you know, I did a paper on it. Basically, the long story short is my theory is that everybody more or less is in their hearts because it's a gifting economy. So the vibration of our hearts is, you know, thousands of times stronger than our minds. So we're in a coherent field. And people have spontaneous healings, law of attraction, they call it playa magic, right? You think something, you know, you need scissors and somebody's coming down in a tutu with these comic sized scissors. They work. It's not exactly how you imagine, but they come. Right. And a lot of the work that I'll do, I'll hear people like, oh man, I've had such a terrible time at Burning Man. I didn't think it was going to be like this. And I get to talk to them. And they're thinking the thing, like one of the girls that I was speaking with, she's like, I thought like the guys here were going to be cool, but they keep catcalling me and being inappropriate. And I was like, well, does this happen in your regular life? She's like, yeah, it does. And I was like, well, you're probably putting it out there because you get that mirror much faster. And so I've heard this, that, you know, my good friend Jason Stiles told me, he's just like, the way that I think about it is that everybody, my thoughts are public domain, that everybody can, like when I'm talking to you, they can know what I'm thinking. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And Dan Winter, who I'm sure you're aware of, talks about having thoughts as a shareable wave, having shareable thoughts that will be harmonious for all of life. And that's
the thing is all thoughts are shared. You can't not share them. Okay. The question is whether other people consciously know they're receiving them. Okay. So, and when you start dealing with the Merkaba field and things like that, and expanding your own energy field, you start to realize this is real. And you walk through the grocery store, you can feel things from other people at a distance that you don't want to feel and you don't want to know about. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So let's go back to the idea of a happy ending here, in that the first happy thing to find out is that we were genetically designed and connected so that our pathways do lead back to the original source of the creator of all. And that we are eternal energy forms, and this is only a stop along our way. That ought to remove the sting and fear of death for people if they really could grasp that and get that. Okay? Because the fear of death is due to ignorance, and it's been used against people. The religious community has used it ad infinitum. Listen, how many religious institutions have been selling salvation, and you do this and you do that. You go through these people and we'll give it to you. You can't buy your salvation. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. It's inside, like Jesus or Yeshua or Melchizedek or Buddha, what they told you, where light meets this in your energy ganglions of your nerve complex that connects to your brain. Okay. With all your glands that go with each of those chakras. Okay. There's an endocrine system that's triggered by energetically, that coincides with your energy body. That includes the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the thymus, and several others, okay? They're all coincident with these energy centers for a reason. They have their function that works when you're in your Ka energy, right? But then they have their function that works when your Ba energy is activated. And that's real life. That's the one where Noah was accused of having found life, right? The son of Enki, Atrahasis, Zeusudra. He found life. Well, it's because of this. The life that they're talking about is the eternal energy that animates us all. Okay, but if you give that up to go along with the money magic system from Marduk, his father Enki told us in an anonymous message, you will be recycled. That's how sternly he feels about it, because of what his son has done, which basically is lie to the whole world and position himself to become the new world order leader after the whole field is cleared, with either Niburu destroying it, where you don't tell everybody, or you cause a nuclear war or a pandemic, or let Fukushima keep radiating till all the algae's gone. We won't have an oxygen anyway. There are so many ways to exterminate the occupants of this planet, and they could use any one of them. So I feel like we're being held hostage a little bit right at the ascension window. Okay, that's where it's going to get the most intense, where like some of these might get away, right? We don't want them to get away. Let's get rid of them first, right? These are the dissidents, and we're very close to that window. So it's almost like it's a good time to keep doing your mission, but not draw too much attention to yourself, and go ahead and be a light for the world. They're watching, and go through this process without fear, right? Right in the lion's den, right up to the last minute. No, I'm not using your money. Do what you will. I know where I'm going. And I can't be manipulated in any way, shape, or form because of that. And I hope that becomes the truth for everyone else, because the idea that we can change this reality on this prison planet, the reality is it was designed as a prison planet for incarnating souls. It serves its function, and you wouldn't have woken up had you not been through the prison system, would you? Well, maybe you would, but you wouldn't appreciate it if you had to be attached to a planet that had people or avatars living in a material form that are going through the same thing that you're going through. And we're all going through the same thing. It's an evolution of consciousness back to the source of it all, which is the creator of all. That's where we're all going, and we're all in different stages, even on different planets and galaxies. We're all doing that. I don't care if you're a Draco, a Gray. Well, I will have to say though, if you're an artificial replicating viral intelligence and you're just a clone without any connection to the creator of all, and you think creating like that is okay, then I don't see that. I think that needs to be stopped. Because you're falsely creating in the hologram that the creator of all created with something that doesn't follow the rules of the creator of all. And you know, that's not going to be allowed forever. Imagine if you were the creator of all and you had a timeline that you could just, well, that's an interesting experiment you've done down there. I didn't authorize it, so I'm just going to put you on an infinite loop on that timeline. You don't go on the main timeline, and it'll be fun to watch and see how this turns out. We'll record it for the other posterity sakes of the other civilizations that think they want to pull this. Whatever, right? And I think that is what's going on with the Earth. This has truly become one of those places where it's a prison planet. Artificial viral replicating intelligence has landed here. It's infiltrating all the governments. It's running it like a prison system. And I think the only people that escape from this are the ones who activate their bioenergy that was given to them. And it's not going to be pretty. None of us get out of this alive in this body, okay? But don't be afraid. Your essence is immortal, and it's light. And it can take on another body if it wants to. And by the way, this is where I want to close this with. For anybody who's ever had an out-of-body experience, they know exactly what I'm saying because they've lived this, they've experienced it. They know their intellect and their core essence of their energy, call it your body, whatever it is, your soul. It exists outside of the meat host, and it's eternal. It's immortal. It's multidimensional, right? That's the truth. And millions of people know that, but they don't regularly talk about it because they don't want to be considered a wacko, you know? But that's the truth. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say for today. I think
from even what you discussed today, like you take a portion of that and turn it into a movie, it would just be the most, it's like, you know, the Matrix on steroids mixed with Star Wars, you know, you can have like 7 installments, 20 installments.
Yeah, imagine, you know, not only just ancient astronaut story, but they're talking about advanced stuff like creating avatars, moving the energy in and out of an avatar, establishing latent circuits so that they can wake up, and all the shenanigans that go back and forth and trying to, and ultimately it was a battle over consciousness. One of them slavery and consciousness they don't go together well, right? Because if you've got a reflective consciousness, you go, hey, what are these shackles on my hand there? I'm digging. What's going on? You know, so with a reflective consciousness, it's antithetical to slavery. And so this has always been the battleground, even in the stories where, you know, in the story of Adam and Eve, you know, where she chooses to take something that represents the tree of knowledge. Well, why would knowledge be a bad thing, right? Well, that's why, is because, you know, the slave master wanted the slaves to be the slaves, had no interest in them being on the council and being peers. Okay. So that hasn't really changed from the species. You can call it racism if you want, but it's a reality. If you're a subset of this species and they're more advanced than you are, listen, slavery happens naturally in those circumstances. So it's more of an idea of how do you fit in when advanced meets not advanced. Is there a subjugation willingly or unwillingly? And if it's willing, this is where people are going to monasteries and trying to learn what the masters know, right? That's willingly. Unwillingly is they end up as the fodder in the resource gathering, galactic colonization plans of this ancient race, or whoever it is. Okay, it's more than just one. According to the Soviet documents, we've had 70 to 80 races that have visited this planet, according to KGB documents.
Snap.
Yeah. So anyway, we should close this out.
Wait, before I want to ask you one more question before I go, just because you can elaborate or keep it short, up to you. So if we're in this and all this is happening and you know all this stuff, well, the one thing I wanted to draw was just crap. Now I'm going down a rabbit hole of the consciousness of like your thoughts. You create your reality. So you know sometimes people can get lost in a rabbit hole and it might not be, you know, then you're kind of like dark and scared of stuff, and then it's hard to have thoughts where you feel safe and secure and stuff like that. So I just wanted to bring that up and maybe you could touch on it. But the question I wanted to ask was, well,
let me do it before you forget.
Okay.
Emerald Tablet 6 describes a process where you can talk to the cycle masters yourself. And in that process, they guarantee you they will block the Dark Brothers, meaning Marduk and the Draco and the ones that can walk into your body. They will block them from your path. It says it right in, and you can do it for other people too. Everybody ought to do that and see what happens. Really.
Awesome.
There isn't any higher source other than the creator of all, and these cycle masters are their liaisons. And if he's given you a process to approach them and ask for them not to intercede anymore in your light path, why not? Right? Yep. If you call that cultish to me, I'm like, okay, call me a cult person, but because I'm doing that and it works. And I've been doing it since Thoth told me that, and I believed him. It works. Amazing.
So it does lead into my final question. What do we do? You know, what, like, if we want to kind of like wake up, because, you know, most of the people listening to this, they got a job, they're doing their thing. They're trying to navigate reality to the best they can within the effery that we have here. What's your like tips on just, you know, just, I'm only going to give one. Okay.
Take responsibility for your energy. And the first thing you can do to experiment with that is in 17 breaths, you can figure out how to change that. And we've just recorded the Merkaba meditation on YouTube, and I put it on my YouTube channel. In 17 breaths, you have the opportunity to wake up your Ba energy and start living a real life, not a life of illusion. Okay? If you choose to do that, your life will change. Because when you wake up your Ba energy, listen, it's like a weasel popping its head up into a different dimension. Other entities are watching that dimension and they initiate you, or they're going to pop you back down if you're not ready. So if you're doing bad things and you think you're going to go be a light being, that doesn't work. Okay? You're going to have to purify your consciousness and subjugate your ego if you want to play this game. Right? You know that. I know that. That's the two requisites to having an alchemical initiation experience. You can spend your whole life. You can spend your whole life doing that. But if you do the Merkaba in 17 breaths and you commit to doing that, and if you have to do it every day for 2 weeks, do it. It only takes 5 minutes. See what happens. Because then if you wake up that Ba energy, it's like taking even though it's the wrong color pill in the Matrix, you will wake up and you will have the encounter with the energetic entities from other dimensions that are here that want to see you ascend out of this morass. but it's up to you. You can't, nobody can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to choose that, like what you've done. You choose ascension, right? You don't hand this off to a group and say, well, I believe your dogma, so I'm going to be saved. It's all good. That doesn't work. Truth is a pathless land, and your path is different than everyone else's. And you have to choose that reality that you want, right? And anybody who's chasing their chakras or trying to wake up, they've done that. They're doing that. Just keep doing that. There's nothing more to do except know you're eternal and get rid of your fear.
Incredible, man. Yeah, yeah.
Fear is the enemy. Fear is the enemy. It'll keep you from changing your mind, changing your clothes because somebody doesn't like it or whatever else. Get rid of the fear and live your life.
Yeah, yeah, man, that was really amazing, powerful, beautiful close. The only thing I wanted to add on to it, because I thought about it before, is like the simplicity that you're sharing of just the searching and seeking is like 2 levels of consciousness. And one is freedom and ascension. And the other one is kind of like, say, just, are you looking to, you know, wake up and I know, is it more?
Not every seeker becomes a finder, okay?
Yeah.
Running around.
Honest seeking?
Looking out there. Let's go to Tibet. I got to go study in India. No.
Yeah.
It's right here, right now, in the now. You don't have to go anywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the Masters of the Far East, and actually the Lost Teachings of Atlantis, he talks about find universal consciousness right here, right now, where you are. It's not out there. It's right in here. Find that first, and then wherever you go, whatever. It don't matter. Doesn't matter. You take yourself everywhere you go. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So, but you can be a finder as a seeker, but I see a lot of seekers be seekers their whole lives and not finders.
Yeah. Yeah. Go in. It's here. That's what that's what that teaching says. Yeah, man, it's been a privilege, my friend. I hope to have you back. You're welcome any day, anytime. I just definitely tell people, check out I'm going to do your meditation actually right as soon as we jump off.
Yeah, so. Actually it's recorded with Krista. Krista does the vocals on it. And I gave a little link in there. You go like 3 minutes and 45 seconds into it because she gives instruction first, but you can go right to it. And it's less than 7 minutes. You'll be done.
Yeah. And I heard it was like 17 seconds to affect energy, like to become the creator force. I don't know if you've heard of anything like that. 17 seconds of direct, pumping it out. Then that's what it takes for us to kind of filter through and get that charge going.
Yeah. Well, we modified it slightly. I got involved in something called rebirthing way back when I was studying sacred geometry, where it talks about connecting the breath. And once I did structure work and realized you're activating the Ida and Pingala nadis in your sphenopalatine ganglia, that's where that energy is happening. So breathing through your nose with this meditation is very important. If you just try one thing, if you just hyperventilate real quickly through your nose, not your mouth, until it starts burning, and then hold your breath for just a few seconds and then let it out, watch the state change you get in your energy, okay? Because what you've just done is changed the blood gas mixture of your body and activated the energetic sphenopalatine ganglia up inside here, where actually it leads to your third eye, but it's actually up in your nose. Well, this is part of what we do with the Merkaba, is breathe in 7 and out 7 through your nose, okay? And if you can do it fast if you want, and it'll probably have the same effect, but if you do it in a count of 7, so you get fully the right mixture of the oxygen and the nitrogen and all that in your system, when you do the pauses, they're not long pauses, less than 10 seconds, and you experience this energetic change as a function of your breath, it's very powerful, very powerful. So I hope you like it. Take some notes for me. Let me know what happens for you. And if you get good at it, you may want to teach it to people, because it is one thing that you can do to help get people in touch with their energy body. Also, things like reading The Power of Now and understanding that the body gives you access to the now as one of those portals. Just paying attention to your body, like, how does your back feel right now? How does your head, your neck? Do you feel right with gravity? That's another entrance into the now. So those are other things that you can do. And then we can get way more advanced into learning energy body equations and structure work and starfire gold and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, I think we're approaching that window very shortly. I mean, very shortly. like if I were had to guess in the next 5 years, I think it's going to happen. That's amazing to know that's happening in our lifetime. So I think you got very little time to think about getting your energy as far as it can get, your chakras as high as they can go, because in the next incarnation, you're going to get to go the next step farther. It doesn't end. There's thousands of steps back to the creator of all through the evolution of consciousness. So think about that. So there's a lot of work to do. It's all learning, you know, but it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile, especially when it comes to differentiating the self and the not self, because that's where all the religions come to their junction point, is that place.
Right. Amazing, brother. Well, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the work, man. Thanks for sharing all that stuff. And,
well, I appreciate you too. You've written a book. We didn't talk much about that. So I see good things coming for your path, and you just keep going. You're sharing light. That's what you need to be doing. You're serving reality by doing that, because there is no other reality. You're not of the delusion that you're going to be able to change everybody and wake everybody up, because that's not the truth. You're having an experience, you share your map, you enjoy sharing the map, and hopefully some people get benefit for that. If they don't, listen, how many people do you think Jesus actually encountered? They're the being that was, you know, that we call the savior, right? How many do you think he actually encountered with no internet, no telephone? You know, in the low thousands, maybe hundreds in 30 years, you know? So we don't have to take on the whole world and hope that we raise them all up when you know, it's whatever's going to happen is going to happen by design. And a lot of it has to do with Enki's design for us, which I still think is pretty fascinating. So with that said, I want to say on behalf of all the people watching this on Seven Planet Broadcasting that you all know and have heard all this stuff. So support Matt and support all the other people that are on light missions, because they're not here for the money. Right.
Thanks, man.
Okay, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, let's say bye to everybody and go take a break. I know your bladder's probably ready. Peace out.
Yeah. Take care. See you guys.
You good.
Bye.
House and Jupiter line with Mars, then peace will guide the planet and love will steal the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius. Sympathy and trust abounding. No more false adulteration. Golden living dreams of vision. Mystic crystal revelation. And the mind's true liberation. Aquarius.